Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Friday, October 19th. This is Gina Palma. Over the last 2 weeks, we've had precipitation affect mainly the eastern two-thirds of the Great Basin, and this precipitation has been well above normal across Utah and into Idaho and into parts of eastern and northeast Nevada. There are still some drier spots of the Great Basin over the last 2 weeks. Southern and western Nevada into the Sierra and parts of northwest Nevada have seen much less precipitation, in some areas almost no precipitation in the last 2 weeks. Looking at recent snowfall over the last 72 hours, we have had some light snowfall over the last 72 hours a few days ago across parts of the higher terrain of Utah, and we do have some snow depth, only a few inches though, however, over Utah up into Wyoming and Idaho, so fairly low with respect to snowpack currently. The satellite loop from this morning shows the trough of low pressure that moved through the Great Basin is now moving into the Rockies and the northern plains, with high pressure off the California coast starting to build in across the north. This will bring drier and warmer conditions to the Great Basin for the next couple of days. However, we will see moisture start to return from the south as we move into the weekend. Now looking at the weather pattern for later today, again that ridge of high pressure starts to nose in across the northern areas, bringing drier air region-wide today. We will see fairly poor dispersion in the north due to these very light winds under the ridge of high pressure, but some breezier northeast winds over southern areas of the Great Basin will keep smoke dispersion very high. Looking at the transport winds, the image on the left, you can see these breezy northeast winds over southern Utah into the Arizona Strip and southern Nevada, along with relatively high mixing heights. Further north, however, very light winds and lower mixing heights across Idaho into northern Utah and northern Nevada. On Saturday, we already start to see moisture move into southern Nevada, the Arizona Strip, and southwest Utah for some isolated showers and thunderstorms, with drier weather across the rest of the Great Basin. We'll also continue with fairly good dispersion again over the southern half of the area due to some breezier winds and very light winds in the north, continuing with more poor dispersion up across parts of northwest Nevada into Idaho. On Saturday, you can see the breezy winds in the south. However, wind direction will be shifting to the southeast. So southeast winds will be breezy in the higher terrain of Utah and the Arizona Strip, with again high mixing heights in the south and a little bit lower with lighter winds further north. As we move into Sunday, we start to see more of a southerly wind component push the moisture north into the Great Basin, really affecting the eastern half to two-thirds of the region, so more widespread showers and thunderstorms on Sunday, and relatively poor mixing heights region-wide, with the exception of some of the higher terrain of Utah and up into northern Nevada and southeast Idaho that have some breezier winds. Looking at the winds on Sunday, again you can see some of those breezy winds in the higher terrain, nothing overly strong. Most valley locations will see inversions with very light wind flow. We'll also see mixing heights generally lower over the western half of the area and a little bit higher up north into Idaho, over parts of the higher terrain of Utah and into Wyoming. If we look at the clearing index forecast for the next few days for Utah, you can see again very high clearing indices over southwest Utah today with those breezy northeast winds, and generally valley inversions with lower clearing indices over other areas. Then on Saturday, as the winds increase out of the southeast a little bit, again in the higher terrain and over southwest Utah, we'll see those clearing indices increase a little bit in the central mountains. However, by Sunday, we'll be decreasing again, with again valley inversions fairly persistent over northwest Utah. Looking at the 3-day forecast amount of precipitation, again, as those showers and thunderstorms increase this weekend, we'll see the heaviest wetting rains over the Arizona Strip. However, still some good wetting rains over parts of southern and eastern Nevada and over southwest and central Utah, with much lighter amounts further north, and central Idaho and western Nevada and the Sierra remaining on the dry side. As we go into early next week, that moisture that moved north over the weekend will spread north up into Idaho and the northern half of the Great Basin on Monday, with still drier signatures over western Nevada. We will see generally poor dispersion in the lower elevations and a little bit better dispersion in the mid to higher elevations. On Tuesday, we see that system kind of move to the east. However, another system, a stronger area of low pressure, starts to move into the Pacific Northwest. This will push some cloud cover and maybe a few isolated showers in far northwest areas on Tuesday, while pushing that moisture over the rest of the Great Basin a little bit further east. We will see better dispersion on Tuesday over western areas as winds start to increase in advance of that system, and poor dispersion again further east across Utah into Idaho. On Wednesday, that system moves a little bit further east, maybe a little bit of moisture working its way into western Nevada, but fairly light mainly in the form of cloud cover, and we'll see generally northwest winds. We will see those winds increase a little bit, so we will see better dispersion in the north and generally moderate to poor dispersion in the south. We'll continue with those conditions on Thursday. Overall forecast amounts of precipitation from Monday through Wednesday. Again, generally over the eastern two-thirds of the region, we'll see lighter amounts of precipitation with some spotty or heavier amounts, but again, mostly light precipitation with drier weather continuing over western Nevada. The 8 to 14-day outlook taking us into the first day of November still shows warm conditions for the western side of the Great Basin with drier weather and near normal temperatures to the east. We may see some better chances of precipitation up towards Idaho and Wyoming, however, as we go into the first part of November. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Monday for the latest updates.